Oh, take that stupid thing off my hat. All right, I guess morning of day 2, woke up to the rain. Wouldn't be a big trip if we didn't get soaked. It's not real bad. It's a pretty light rain, so I'm not too concerned. Hopefully we can ride out of it relatively quickly, although there's not really any breaks that I can see in the sky. So we'll just play it by ear. Seems to be what we do on most of these trips, particularly this one. A good sleep though. I don't feel too hungover, maybe a little bit, but that was a heck of a night camping. It was really good. That's why we do these things.
So the morning of day 2, we woke up to the rain. It was coming down pretty good. Now we had prepared for that the evening before. We had packed up camp pretty good, so nothing that couldn't get wet didn't. Still, packing up camp in the rain, the inside of your tent gets wet and your gear gets wet as you're putting it on and that kind of thing. So it wasn't pleasant, but it was all right. It was, the first real full day of the trip, and we were happy to be pushing out of the campground.
So one of the first orders of business on day 2 was to get ourselves some breakfast. And since we were in in the States, the thing that naturally came to mind for me was biscuits and gravy. And Jeff even followed suit and partook of the white gravy and the biscuits and the poached eggs as well. And as always, it was delicious. Leaving Williston on highway, I can't remember now. Anyway, we're leaving Williston. We have to cross the Missouri River, and so it's not just the river, it's kind of a big floodplain as well. And being that there was a lot of water this year, the floodplain was full of water. Almost right up to the highway, there was really only a couple inches of freeboard for the highway, and otherwise the road would have been closed. So the Missouri River was sure pumping out a lot of water. And it was on the verge of being closed, really. So we felt rather lucky to get across. There was rumors of it being closed imminently that never seemed to materialize.
We didn't really have a solid plan for the day. We knew we were within striking distance of Deadwood, so we kind of hoped that, if we put our minds to it, we could make it all the way to Deadwood this day. We also knew that with a slight detour, we could check out this kind of touristy bit of road called the Enchanted Highway. So we just kind of pushed our way south. There was an awful lot of road construction, just new construction and of course repair work for some of the flooding that had occurred. But it seemed like we couldn't go more than an hour or so that day without running into some kind of construction.
That part of the states, Williston, is known for the Williston Basin, which is a major oil play right now. And to say that they're going through an oil boom would be a bit of an understatement. There is certainly a lot of construction in the area and a lot of oil-related infrastructure on the highways.
It was while we were stopped for some of this construction that Hammy and I had gotten off the bikes and we're just, stretching our legs, sitting there chatting. And this big old guy comes sauntering up to us, and he had this big old white cowboy hat on and a Western shirt, and he just starts chatting us up about the bikes.
So, we're always more than happy to talk. So we talked to, we started calling him Hoss. I don't recall that we ever did get his real name.
So we sat there and chatted with Hoss for a bit, and it turns out that he split his time between somewhere in Texas and Calgary, Alberta. So we sat there and compared notes on Calgary, Alberta until the traffic started moving again. We waved goodbye to Hoss, hopped on the bikes, and took off.
The construction cleared off, and Jeff and I made some pretty good time past all the traffic that was in front of us, and had some open highway for a while. And then we pulled into, we were getting low on gas, so we decided to get some gas and get off the bikes for a few minutes, grab a bite to eat at the next town. And who would pull in but good old Hoss.
So we were sitting there filling up the bikes and getting a drink of water and having a bite to eat, and chatted with Hoss for, geez, another good hour or so. It was then that we realized he wasn't by himself. He was with a group of other people, and they were getting pretty impatient. They were in a vehicle, the camper that they were in, honking the horn at him.
Finally, his traveling companions got a little bit tired of waiting for him, and I think they were honking the horn, getting him to get going.
It was at this point that we decided to go check out the Enchanted Highway, which is this stretch of rural road that's highlighted by these giant metal sculptures. Now, I don't really know what my expectations for the Enchanted Highway were. I don't know if I expected to see elves and fairies and goblins running across the road or what, but it was it was kind of a letdown.
It's billed as this pretty fantastic highway with all these giant metal sculptures, and in reality, yeah, sure, there's some big metal sculptures, but you know, it makes it, the bill makes it sound like they're endless, like they're almost end to end to end. Turns out there's about 6 of these things in about 30 miles. So we go about 30 miles out of our way, each way, so add an hour to the day to travel these 30 miles of the Disenchanted Highway to see like a grasshopper and some fish and a deer. Like it was pretty anticlimactic.
Enchanted Highway has left me a little disenchanted, I think. We've been riding for 20 miles, 15 miles maybe, and we've seen one sculpture. We're now at the second one we've seen along this road that's supposed to be famous for all these sculptures. So there's a giant metal grasshopper behind me here, as you can see part of, and the wind, I'm sure you can hear too, is brutal.
Yeah, I think I could pull more enchantment out of my Lewis and Clark hole. So after being disenchanted by the Enchanted Highway, we decided to stop for a bite, and I think it was a small town called Bowman. We slid into this little Greasy Spoon diner. Hammy had a burger, I had some chicken, and yeah, that's about that.
Don't know who got the dirtier end of the stick there. I don't think either was really all that impressive. After that, it was about a 200-kilometer run straight south to Deadwood. So we got back on the bikes, made sure they had gas, and hit the road. Highway from Bowman to Deadwood, you know, if there's 3 turns, I think there might be 3 or 4. Like, it's straight. And so all afternoon we're pointed at Deadwood, and it's just this massive cloud, like hanging right above the Black Hills. And I'm thinking, oh man, we're gonna have to get there. It's gonna be raining.
As we kept pushing south, this big black cloud was sitting over what we were sure was the Black Hills. So we were kind of grumpy, thinking that we were going to have to pull into our camp and set up in the rain.
You know, maybe it's going west. You know, maybe it's going to miss us. Maybe, and sure enough, as we get there, it kind of just slides off just as we get there, and we get into Deadwood, and it's a nice sunny evening.
And we rolled in pretty late, at least later than normal. It was probably close to 8 o'clock, and we had just gotten to the office before they had closed for the campground. So we stocked up on everything we could. We got lots of wood, lots of ice, some mix for the rum, and decided to set up camp.
It's got to be 7:30, 8 o'clock right now. We're in Deadwood. We managed to make it to Deadwood, 8:30. Made it to Deadwood probably a day earlier than we had expected to.
Yeah, with this, I don't know, like it was always, you know, we knew it was going to be a short day in here somewhere to get to Deadwood on day 3. And if we happen to get here on day 2, like we did, it was not going to be the end of the world. We've for a long time, we've always talked about doing a camping at a base camp and riding from base camp without carrying everything for a day, because we've both always commented to each other how much we like the way our bikes handle without the extra 30 pounds of camping stuff on board. And so that's essentially what we're going to do tomorrow is tear up the Black Hills like only we can.
It was an okay campsite. It was a little pricey, but we were right in Deadwood. We were located right above the little amusement area that had go-karts and bumper boats and mini golf and all that kind of stuff. So that was a little entertaining. But we really, after a long day on the road, just wanted to get the campfire going, sit down, have a rum, and relax.
Yeah, and really, I think we were both pretty happy to be there. A little bit wiped out after the long trip for the day, and pretty happy to just break out the beef jerky, the rum and coke, and light a fire. You know, it was we had talked about going into town and checking some stuff out, but at the end, you know, we'd missed all the crazy Wild Bill stuff for the day, so we really just packed it in had our own good time.
That's it for me for day 2.
Yeah, that's all I got too. Not much.
Take it easy.
Take care.